Thanks for tuning in to part two. We heard their beginnings, and now we jump into the experiences, insights, and creative outlooks of our talented Venezuelan editors.
Yeah, we love to open the floor. How are the rest of the guys feeling about Venezuelan cinema? And maybe there's a resurgence of Venezuelan cinema. So we love to open the floor about that.
I'm really not. I mean, except for Miguel's movie and not much. Now Edgar Ramirez is promoting this movie. I feel a little ambivalent about it because it's sort of like using the situation to promote it. I feel a little funny about it. But I don't know anything about the movie, but I'm a big fan of anything that comes from our country. But I don't know, guys. I don't know if I'm going through some kind of a phase, but I'm not very optimistic about our industry at the moment. I am very worried. I would advise against anybody who comes ask me. I mean, I have a couple of friends whose kids were interested, and I said, "Do something else, dude. Don't come here." Especially because the struggle making a living, we don't even know where this thing is landing. Politically, ideologically, marketing, this reduction opportunities with the studios, sinking, the streaming. I mean, it's just, it's not good. So I don't know where we're going to land. I'm also worried about the quality of the product, especially generated here in America. I personally feel it's all garbage, but I am very impressed with the European filmmaking. Although Chloe with Hammett is not European, I mean, she's American, but she's obviously Chinese. What an amazing movie and sentiment. I mean, all these films that are being, I don't know if you guys seen Sentimental Value or Hammett. I mean, they're like, whoa. As an editor, I mean, after seeing Sentimental Value and seeing the editing on that one, I go, oh, wow, this is what it's about. I mean, I'm sorry bringing this up. I mean, anyway, I just gotta say it. Letting films breathe and staying on shots and this like cutty thing. It's like, oh my God. And these producers, if I don't see a cut or another take, they feel like they're not earning your stripes or your money, and they cut for the sake of cutting. And it's like and this editing by committee. I mean, my input. The moment where I'm in front of the dailies by myself, that still remains ecstasy to me. That's like, wow. But it has now gone so far from it. I mean, like what remains from my version, sometimes it's like an unrecognized Frankenstein. And I just feel bad about the audience will never see all the great stuff that was in there because all these producers who are totally fucking nincompoops. So I don't know if I can curse. They just don't know what they're doing, but they all want to have a saying in the matter, and it's tough. And what happened to me personally is that they have, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't care anymore. It's they're taking the love away from me in trying to, put my working the extra hour, getting up early, the excitement about getting up and doing, and you have an idea at night, and you get up and write it down. I see a lot of that. I don't know if my age or whatever, but I think I see a lot of that being taken away, and I'm worried. You know what I mean? Because this is what I do, and I know. But I would any teenage or young person that would come, I said, dude, no, dude. I mean, I would say be a writer. That still remain to me the safest, creative, way to survive of what's happening. No, so I'm sorry.
I actually have the same concerns in many ways, but at the same time, I feel like there are projects in which you have more control of the final, the final product, and sometimes, I mean, I feel like we need to adapt in many ways. I think that people like Luis Carlos, my guess is that part of the process of actually producing your own stuff is just you have more control over the final product. And I know that even a person like him has to answer to investors and has to answer to a bunch of people that are going to actually comment on the product. And I completely understand, Luis. There are times in which I cannot even watch the final version of shows that I have worked on, because when I see a little piece in which, oh, they changed this, it feels like such a big. Particularly when he was talking, I actually thought of like 10 different situations in which, oh, I left that shot a little bit longer for a reason, not because I was lazy and didn't cut it there. I mean, it was to create anticipation or whatever the idea was. And really it feels like it's difficult to actually right now get everyone in the same page, or at least convince people about what you're trying to do. I don't know if I would tell people, if I would attract people to come and to join this industry. It's a very changing industry, but I feel like every industry in the world is changing. It is really a case of not only you have to talk to people in terms of what you need to do to get not only a career, but also like a career that is fulfilling artistically, that is fulfilling, in terms of, you providing for your family, but also, a career that that you can project. It's something that is difficult now to predict, but it feels like that's for everything. And in many ways, I can only say, I cannot tell someone not to do what they want to do. I can actually show them my experience, but in many ways, I feel like people are finding ways to do what they want to do, and even if it is changing lanes, and in some cases, they will find a way to do the work that they want to do.
In terms of the what we do, I think I was listening at some podcast talking about the the comparison with the other crises we had in the history. So basically, many people are telling us we are in the just one step to get a big a big depression, and we kind of like in the stress, like when it's coming the the big hit of the industry, no, like and this kind of climate, or this kind of the industry always adapt. Like for example, made a comparison with the crisis in the 30s, after the Big Depression. The cinema at that time was a super silly. All the comedies, the format of the comedy was the flourish, and the romantic comedy flourish at that time, at that kind of format, because the people want to see something to escape, because all the climate of the depression, the wars, and everything was like okay, I want to go to the cinema just to relax. So maybe we are that kind of the same situation again. But at the same time, I think the other factor we live in right now is after the social networks age. I think the young audience. I feel I think they have like a fatigue of the content. So because the offer is so big in every aspect. For example, I when I came here, I was like a big fan of Star Wars. You're talking right now for me in Star Wars, like, oh yeah, dude, I no more Star Wars, please. It's like we feel like a fatigue, but like a decade before, I was super excited about the Star Wars. So now so I think this is like a general situation in many ways. So thinking, translating that as a Venezuelan perspective, I think we living in a moment of the our identity was like a erase and rewrite at the same time, super fast. So living without, outside of Venezuela, sometimes that try to find how is the definition of being Venezuelan is still in progress. So it's like a, so I think, as a reaction of the this fatigue of the content, a reaction of the AI situation, it's like we have to maybe the optimistic way is like to try to put the focus in the craft, in the region stories, the looking for the genuine of the culture. So Venezuela, I think, is kind of like a, in terms of content or story and talent, is still like a virgin place. It's like a, for the rest of the world, nobody knows about the Venezuela. So it's kind of like a, like a little corner, like a, this corner of the world is beautiful and is worth it to discover. So I hope maybe we get in there. We get into that kind of era, age of the new discovery of our region. I don't know.
Definitely interesting time for sure. And I agree with you. Everything is changing. The industry is changing. How we make film is. I mean, in my perspective, and I think we agree on that. The perspective is deteriorating. The art is deteriorating the craft. That we're addressing the lowest denominator. We're feeding the lowest denominator of audience.
But at a high price, which is sacrificing the quality, I think. I mean, the so-called vertical filmmaking is like sausage factory of the lowest level. And how everybody's flocking to, I mean, that's all the calls I get right now. And they're trying to throw money at me. And I'm like, no, I'm not, you know what I mean? I refuse to have a technology like the cell phone dictating where the art forms should be. And all these kids that now had no patience or no tolerance in storytelling. And like, well, that's our role right now to remind them what art is all about. And I don't know, man. Now they're talking about this branding. The hope in the industry, because of the shrinking of the studio, is like every brand is going to develop now their own studios or their own outlets. Rather than paying a studio to place a Nike logo, Nike is coming out with their studio to create their own Nike branding. And that's what they hope are placed right now. And I see kind of like a diversification that is happening. Like Otto said, historically, yeah, he's absolutely right. We go through these cycles, and I found myself just speaking like my grandma used to do when I was growing up. That I say to myself, I hope I'm my grandma, and here I am. I am my grandma, and I found myself complaining about everything, and I go, oh no. But there has been as much as there have been horrible garbage being generated. I also noticing great quality being generated, like those films that I just mentioned right now, Hamnet, Sentimental Value. There's just films that are like about substance. So this is an interesting dichotomy. The worst and the best are being generated right now. So I don't know, what I mean? But as an editor, as a person who's like making a living on this, or like a friend of mine is asking me for advice for his kids, I will give this kid the same advice I will give my own. It's like, stay away from it. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't know where this is heading to. Now, obviously, my first answer, and I think Otto and somebody mentioned, Luis, I mean, when you have a passion for something, you got to respect that. You know what I mean? And then hard for that and nurture it and make it, come to fruition. But I will advise against or prepare them for the reality of it. I just don't see the opportunity that, I mean, we used to have crews of so many, assistant, apprentice, and now we're working remotely. None of that, the transferring of knowledge, like I was bringing coffee to Milos Forman and that allowed me to be exposed to the editing room. Those are gone, those outlets. You basically have to go out of your way to teach somebody these days what you're doing. You know what I mean? Or you have to stop like I with my wife, look at this what that happened here. This is cool, and like that's how I enjoy, filmmaking. It's like I watch it all the way through, and then I go back again and see where it was cool, if it was worth it rewatching it. But it's interesting how the worst and the best are being now kind of created. So there is a little bit of hope, but there's a lot of uncertainty too. So I don't know. I just felt like saying that.
I feel like we're gonna see everybody is everyone like all this new generation wants faster things, and like in the first minute they have to be like explosion, or they have like because if not they're gonna change the movie or something. And I believe AI, we're gonna see movies completely made with AI. We're gonna see movies completely with we're gonna have to decide if we wanna watch movies AI or with humans. So I think we have to uh, like use AI as a tool, but I think that's nothing is gonna stop. I see things, and I don't know if I'm watching something real or AI. So every time is getting, I mean, more real. So I don't know where are we going to.
No, that's right. And I think it's hard on this time to keep the motivation when we see there's a lot of uncertainty in our industry. And that's also part of the challenge because at the same time make a living in this sort of a situation where we have families, we have responsibilities, and we know it's there's a lot of unanswered questions about the future, you know. Um, I would love to bring a little bit of a lighter, more of fun anecdote to the conversation. So we come from darkness to light. um, Luis Colina, please, let's talk about a little bit, if you want, don't mind, Big Lebowski and your experience with the Big Lebowski, because we need to have that on the record.
I thought I was gonna get away with that one. Well, that was I had so many amazing experience, but I think the highlight of them all, looking back, they all have their value. But the working with the Coen brothers was like a blessing and curse at the same time. The curse was when you like I go to, and many of us we have aspirations to becoming directors, and that's how my motivation was too back in the day. But when I stumbled on these guys, I just went, oh, I cannot be this good. And, when you encounter a talent like that, you realize you just don't have what they have. All right, I think I'm gonna settle for editing now. You know what I mean? Those guys are incredibly talented. I had the blessing of working with them in the movie called The Hot Sucker Proxy, which was shot in North Carolina. It was back in the day with film. I mean, imagine working with Roger Deakins and Paul Newman's one of his last films, being on location in intimate settings with all those people hanging out. Um, and then basically they edit their own films, the Coen brothers. But when I told them my theory about you cannot cut your own hair, they say, well, we're two of us. So I cut Joel's hair and Joel cut Ethan's hair. You know what I mean? So they got away with that one. But so while I was working on Hudsucker Proxy, I moved to New York for about a couple of years, working with them at the Brill Building, which was our neighbors, was Spike Lee and Marty Scorsese and all this, Barry Levinson, all these amazing people in the hallways. And I was like, oh my God. Um, and it's funny because you got all these big names and people coming in and out of the building. And I had a time Walter Murch was visiting New York, and he wanted to have lunch. So he came to see me. I mean, I was his assistant for many years. And those guys, Spike Lee and the Coen brothers, were like kids wanting to meet Walter Murch. So I was really like blown away by the that aspect. I mean, I can never imagine those guys really being excited, and they were excited of meeting Walter, like I was excited about meeting them. So I thought it was pretty cool. So while we're doing that movie, The Hudsucker Proxy, Joel and Ethan, they love pissing me off, which, as you can tell, doesn't take very much. So they will make all this horrendous cut, and they bring me into the category to show me just to see my reaction. And I'm like, oh, you guys, I'm gonna have to go to editing therapy now to forget this, because the amazing thing is, let me go back a little bit. I learned from Walter Murch the thinking intellectual aspect of editing, I mean, to some extremes. Then I come to LA and I work with another guy named Tom Noble, who also is an Academy Award winner with the movie Witness, and Peter Weir. And I learned the gut editing, cut by gut. And then you work with the Coen brothers, which all the rules are out the window, and it's all about the storytelling. These guys don't care about transition, don't care about, they just telling their story, and it worked. And so it was interesting when you learn from all these people and everything, watching all the people, amazing work over the years. Um, I was big friends with Sally Menke, with Quentin. I mean, I was up for that job and she got it. So we stayed friends, and and it was, I mean, I think we all become, and even the best filmmakers admit to stealing from the best. And anyway, I'm kind of taking a detour, but going back, while I was doing the Hudsucker Proxy, they basically tell each other, we should write a part for Luis in this movie. That this guy, so as they're making a movie, the editing process for them is very boring because they already seen the film in their heads. So editing is sort of like the putting the puzzles. I mean, they might have to work on the transition here, there, and Hudsucker was complicated because it has a lot of blue screens. I don't know if anybody saw that movie, the jumping off the building and all that stuff. And I was in charge of that. So that was pretty cool because I was making mistakes, putting the wrong backgrounds and the wrong blue screens. And they actually love those accents. Every time you make a mistake, it's like another filmmaker, this guy, Larry Clark, they love that. And they like want to leave it in the film. And they had 10, 20 scripts on the shelves waiting to be made. The Big Lebowski was already written years ago, and they were waiting for Jeff Bridges to become available. The guy was so busy, they just sat on it until he became available. And then they said, we should write a part for Luis, and they brought this part about the red Corvette owner. Because I told a story that my dad's favorite car was the Corvette. And one of my dreams when I was growing up was to be able to buy my dad, who was in Venezuela, a Corvette. You know how you always try to please your dad, as you were a kid. And they wrote all that into this thing, you know what I mean? It really touched me. And then, so that's how 2 years later, I got a phone call and they say, hey, are you ready? And I go, what are you talking about? Well, we want you to come and read for the Big Lebowski. And I go, dude, I'm not an actor. I'm not going to be auditioning. No, we're not auditioning. We just want you to come and read. So I go into an office right there where the old Trader Joe's by Little Santa Monica was the office there. And I started reading the part, and I turned around and the guys are like laughing on the floor. And I said, well, I guess I got the part, because they laugh like this. They don't make noises when they're laughing, and they turn around, and the casting director and the two guys were already, on the floor, and I got the part, and I'm acting all cool. I'm super busy. The shoot is at 9. They called me like 2 or 3 times that they had to cancel. And I'm in this trailer, kind of pissed off about, okay, another wasted night of shooting. I had to go back to work. And a van pulls in. When I'm talking about trailer, it's one of those basically like a buddy, like a like a porta potty, nothing fancy. And I'm opening the door, and it's the band where it's Jeff Goodman, it's just John Goodman, Jeff Bridges, and Steve Buscemi, and this loser. They're picking me up to go to the set, and that's where it hit me. Oh, left. This is real. You know what I mean? I'm freaking out in this van driving to set. And I get off the van, and Ethan, who's closer to me in age, we're closer. Joel also is great, but Ethan and I are more like a closer friend. And he sees me and his wife, Tricia, white, pale, and they pull me aside. They start doing this primal animal screaming therapy, like, to get me out of it. because I'm just, no, I'm like basically freaking out. What am I doing with Jeff Bridges? What am I doing with this guy? No, these are pros. So, and then, my take was kind of complicated because it's a one shooter. I'm coming out from the background and I had to arrive there the moment that Goodman has the crowbar. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie and this motion. So we did like 12, 14 takes on that one, I remember. And I think we picked up 12. But that was, that was sort of like the experience. And then I was able to go in the cutting room because while they're shooting, they have assistants who are editing. So I went in there and did my own version of it. And when they came back and saw it, they were no, because I cut myself totally out of it. Like I put the very minimum of me.
Wow. I mean, at this point, it sounds legendary because, I mean, so many anecdotes and behind the camera.
Well,
I mean,
there you go.
yeah,
This is a hope. This is a hope for the future. We have a great story to
Well,
tell.
that's what I'm
that's
saying.
it.
Writing. That's what I'm
Yeah, yeah.
stuck with the writing. The writing is the difficult part, as we know. In the editing, if it's not on the script, very unlikely will be on the screen. And that's the key, the foundation of everything. I think. I mean, except for the section of reality, which have basically created another gender. Uh, the writing is key, man.
The key, yes, the
Yes,
base.
for
Mhm.
sure, for sure. Thank you for sharing that, Luis. Amazing, amazing story. And before we, Luis Carlos, before you jump off, before you go, any thoughts that you want to leave us with before you jump off?
Well, it was very nice to be here with you. I hope we can write that movie with Luis Colina. We can do this movie in Venezuela. I hope we can do movies here. Um, yes, we have to protect the art that we do, and we have to keep going.
Yes.
And yes, it's a good advice to do another thing because this is difficult times, but passion is what we need to do this movie, to
Yes.
do this job. So thank you very much for the invite. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you for being
It's
here.
an honor to be here with you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Glad to have you.
Un abrazo, cuídate.
Un abrazo. See you soon.
If I could say something, it's that in many ways, I feel like when people talk about Venezuela and the talent in arts and the talent in, I mean, the nature that we have as resourceful people and the experiences that we have first in Venezuela with the people that we grew up with. And then in many ways, many of us, the experiences we have had outside of Venezuela with the people that we have had the opportunity to have an experience with. I mean, I cannot believe like Luis's stories here. It's amazing. It's like that is part now of what Venezuela is too. It's the experience of the Venezuelan that was grew up in Venezuela, got the experience that he got in film in Venezuela, and then went out and did all the things that he has been given. And in many ways, I think that his experience and the experience of every one of us in some way can actually help, people there. I mean, can help everybody, but like people there specifically, it was very difficult when I was, in 1992, like researching, okay, where am I going to go to college if I could go to a college in the US to see myself doing the work here. Actually, there was absolutely, I mean, it was so irrational to think, okay, this guy from Barquisimeto is actually going to figure it out a way to get and work in Los Angeles on film. Like it's so random, the whole concept of it. And I think that in many ways, like the story of Luis, like story of Otto, the story of Miguel, or your story, Jesus, it feels like it's like okay, there is a way of doing this. There are infinite ways, but this is actually a way that worked out for whoever of us has been, figuring out how to do the things that we're doing.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All
We're
right,
gonna
guys.
wrap it up.
Wow.
This has been Globality Perspective from the International Relations Committee of American Cinema Editors, and thank you for listening, and see you guys on the next time.